My life used to feel perfect. I married Paul, my college love, and we were so excited for our future. When I found out I was pregnant, I was overjoyed. I imagined a happy life full of love and family. Paul and I decided to keep it a secret for a while, but I never thought sharing this happy news would change everything. I had no idea that his family would doubt me, that my own husband wouldn't stand by my side, and that my life was about to take a heartbreaking turn. Paul's family never fully accepted me. His mother, Janet, always found something wrong with me. His sister, Emma, acted like I was a threat, and his dad, Jason, barely spoke to me. His brother, Jacob, ignored me completely at family gatherings. I felt judged. I stayed polite for Paul's sake, hoping they'd warm up to me, but they didn't. No matter how hard I tried, I was never good enough for them. I kept telling myself things would get better, but I was wrong. Their true feelings came out the day we shared our big news. Paul and I decided it was time to tell his family about the baby. I made dinner hoping to impress Janet, but as soon as we sat down, she found something to complain about. "Maria, dear, the roast is a bit dry," she said with a fake smile. I forced myself to ignore it. Then Paul said, "We have big news. Maria and I are having a baby." I expected happiness, maybe hugs and excitement. Instead, there was silence. I looked at Janet, expecting her to be surprised, but what she said next broke my heart. "Are you sure, Paul? How do you know she's not lying?" Janet's face was cold. My stomach dropped. Emma smirked. She was always so careful about birth control before. Funny how that changed just as Paul's career is taking off. I felt sick. They thought I had trapped Paul on purpose. "That's not true," I whispered, my voice shaking. But Janet wasn't done. "If you're really pregnant, prove it," she said. My hands clenched into fists. I turned to Paul, waiting for him to stand up for me. Instead, he hesitated. Then he said words that shattered my trust forever. "Maybe it's not a bad idea, Maria," Paul said softly. I couldn't believe it. My own husband didn't believe me. My chest tightened as I stared at him. "This is crazy," I said, pushing my chair back. "I don't have to prove anything." I turned to leave, needing to get away from them, but Janet stepped in front of me. "If you walk out now, we'll all know you're lying," she said coldly. My heart pounded. Then, before I could react, she shoved me. I lost my balance and felt myself falling. Then everything went black. I woke up in a hospital bed, my whole body aching. My hands immediately went to my stomach. "My baby?" I asked weakly. The doctor smiled gently. "Your baby is safe." Relief filled me, but it didn't last long. I remembered everything: Janet's push, Paul's doubt, Emma's smug face. Then I saw Paul standing by my bed. "Maria, I'm so sorry," he whispered, but his words meant nothing. "Your mother pushed me," I said, staring at him. He hesitated. "She said it was an accident." My heart sank. Even after everything, he was still defending her. Before I could reply, Angela, my best friend, rushed in. "Maria, are you okay?" I nodded weakly, but then we heard voices outside the door. It was Janet and Emma. "We just need to make Paul believe it was an accident," Janet said. "Maria's probably faking the pregnancy anyway." Angela's eyes widened. She quickly pulled out her phone and started recording. I felt a mix of anger and determination. They were planning to cover up what happened. They thought I was weak, but they were wrong. I wasn't going to stay silent anymore. I took a deep breath and called a lawyer, Carol Baker, a specialist in domestic abuse cases. She listened carefully. "You have a strong case," she said. "We'll take legal action against Janet for assault and fight for full custody." It was a scary step, but I had no choice. Meanwhile, Paul kept sending me messages apologizing and asking me to talk. I ignored him. He had already chosen his mother over me. On the day of the court hearing, my hands shook, but Angela squeezed my shoulder. "You've got this," she said, and for the first time I believed her. In court, my lawyer played the recording of Janet and Emma's conversation. Their voices filled the room, exposing their lies. Paul sat frozen, his face pale as he finally realized the truth. The judge's voice was firm. "Mrs. Thompson, you are charged with assault and endangering an unborn child." Janet gasped. "It was an accident," she protested, but the evidence was clear. Then the judge turned to me. "Maria Thompson is granted full custody of her child and a settlement of $700,000. The relief I felt was overwhelming. Justice had been served. After the hearing, Paul approached me. "Maria, I had no idea. Please, can we talk?" His voice was filled with regret, but I wasn't the same woman anymore. "No, Paul," I said, my voice strong. When I needed you, you doubted me. You chose your mother. There's no going back. His face fell, but I didn't feel sorry for him. This wasn't just about me, it was about protecting my child, and that meant leaving him behind. Months passed, and I focused on my pregnancy. I moved in with Angela and prepared for my baby's arrival. When my daughter, Michelle, was born, I held her close, knowing I had made the right decision. She was my new beginning. I no longer feared the past. Janet was in jail, and Paul had tried to contact me, but I never responded. I was done with him. My daughter deserved a life full of love, not doubt and betrayal. Years passed, and my life changed in ways I never imagined. Michelle is now a bright and playful little girl, full of life and laughter. Every day, I watch her grow, and I'm reminded why I made the choices I did. There are no more sleepless nights wondering if I did the right thing. No more painful silences with a husband who didn't defend me. I wake up each morning feeling safe, knowing that I am in control of my own future. The pain I once felt has turned into strength. Starting over wasn't easy. There were moments when I doubted myself, nights when I lay awake wondering if I had been too harsh on Paul. He reached out a few times, sending long messages filled with regret. He even showed up outside Angela's apartment once, begging me to talk. But I didn't answer. His apologies meant nothing now. The truth was, he had chosen his side long ago. The moment he hesitated when I needed him most, he lost me forever. I focused instead on building a new life, a life where I was no longer waiting for approval. Over time, I found a new sense of purpose. I started my own marketing business, something I had always dreamed of doing. I used my experience to help others, women who had been in situations like mine, who needed to find their strength. I spoke at events, shared my story, and encouraged others to stand up for themselves. My past no longer defined me. Instead, it became the foundation for the strong, independent woman I had become. The fear and self-doubt that once controlled me had disappeared. Now, I was confident, determined, and ready for whatever came next. Even now, I wonder, was I too harsh? Could I have forgiven Paul? He wasn't the one who pushed me, but he allowed his family to doubt me. He stood by while his mother and sister humiliated me, questioned my loyalty, and accused me of trapping him. Could a man who failed me once change? I don't think so. If he truly loved me, he would have fought for me. But he didn't, and that is why I walked away. But as I watch Michelle run around on her second birthday, her laughter filling our home, I know I made the right choice. I have no regrets. The life I built is one filled with love, support, and real family. The kind you choose, not the kind you are forced to accept. Angela, my rock, is here as always, helping me blow up balloons and set up decorations. Look at her, she says, smiling. You did this, Maria. You gave her a beautiful life. And she's right. I fought for my happy.